I am delighted to see that Damian Green was Liz Truss's deputy prime minister when she was prime minister in those heady days when her hands were moving all over the place and she was swooning over Kwasi Kwarteng's prodigious package. Damian Green was her right-hand man. Uh, you, the concept beggars belief, but there we are. So it is important that Damian Green, somebody so connected with that mad right-wing putsch towards raiding the piggy bank and more, should come out against Suella Braverman's article in the Daily Telegraph, which was published today. And I think it's important because what he has said is that Braverman's plans that the Rwanda scheme should go ahead and that anybody who comes to this country illegally should be denied all avenues of legal challenge. That was already implicit in the Illegal Migration Act, which went through Parliament earlier this year. So Damian Green is already party to this process. So it is excellent news to hear him standing up and saying this is wrong. In fact, what he says is that to do this would be to behave in a dictatorial way. Absolutely. And now we need Rishi Sunak to be convinced that what he said the other day, surrounded by flags and looking every inch a tin pot dictator, what he said the other day was wrong, morally wrong. Now, it may be politically possible. It may be possible to define a law, but a law that is predicated on challenging the decision of the Supreme Court in this country is a law that is based on deceit. And more than that, when you say that something which has been deemed unsafe can be described and legally defined as safe, then you are in a very strange world where you're setting the precedent that you can define something that is bad as good. And that is dictatorship. And that is evil, and that is wrong, and that is morally abhorrent. And that is why I felt that at that point Rishi Sunak crossed the Rubicon. He crossed a red line. The Rubicon, by the way, is such a small river, it's little more than a red line. And there's every possibility that he can go back. I hope he goes back. I hope he thinks. And like Damian Green, realizes that reading from Suella Braverman's textbook, Suella Braverman drew up these plans, and Rishi Sunak is implementing one of them simply to hold the Red Wall people at bay, simply to hold the Lee Anderson types at bay. Well, all he has to do with that is put his hand up, because Lee Anderson, when it comes to the crunch, is a coward. And Lee Anderson, all you have to do is turn off the television, and he stops. Turn him off, and he stops. By the way, you can all turn off GB News now because they're charging you at source. So why would anybody watch GB News? It's no longer free. He's on Talk TV. That's not charging you at the moment. Who cares? Who cares? Turn him off. Turn him off. That silences him. But Damian Green has gone on and said that Suella Braverman's proposals are profoundly unconservative. I entirely agree. And I think this is remarkable, coming from somebody who was linked to Liz Truss's flapping hands and to support or ogling or reverence for Kwasi Kwarteng's prodigious package. Mr. Green has said, Conservatives believe in a democratic country run by the rule of law, and dictators Xi and Putin would prefer to have the state completely untrammeled by any law, and so, as a Democrat, I oppose it. Absolutely. But quite specifically as a conservative, because if we conservatives don't believe that the state should be controlled by the law, that the government has to obey the law as much as you or I have to obey the law, then that seems to me to be very profoundly unconservative. And he's absolutely right. And this is what he said on the Today programme this morning. If we go down this road, if a government takes itself, if a government takes on itself powers to say that there are no constraints on us, none of the edifice of protection of the law that has been built up over the centuries, which by and large conservatives like me think is one of the glories of this country, then that government would be behaving in a dictatorial way. And I don't think Parliament should go there. I very much specifically don't think the Conservative Party should go there. There you are. That is a statement, and it is worthy of Thomas More, frankly. Once you start chipping away at the law is built on words. You play those words as much as you possibly can. Look for the various nuances in those words to wriggle out of a problem as much as we can, because the law is based on what is written down, not in what somebody intends, but on what somebody has been clever enough to actually write. And lawyers spend their lives finding holes in that text. And that's great. And maybe Parliament every so often has to come in and adjust that text so that it means slightly more clearly what was originally intended, or what needs to be repurposed. But it's about the words of the law. You can't take the law and spin it round and say safe means unsafe, or unsafe means safe. Black means white. Red means blue. If you start redefining the terms of the law means nothing. Testing the limits of the law, which is Suella Braverman's expression, is what a burglar does. And I don't want to be ruled in this country by burglars and criminals.